Should Andrew Luck be considered for the Hall of Fame? Andrew Luck has officially reached the time limit to where now he is eligible for discussion. Colin Cowherd is going to be our backdrop here to react. I'm kind of surprised at this, to be honest, because when this came across my desk, I thought, no, not even close. Like, Andrew Luck, not only is he not a Hall of Famer, but there is so many other people that are ahead of him in what he did in his career. Andrew Luck has a very interesting kind of arc because of the way he left the game. He kind of has this mystique to him, like, well, if he would have played, well, if this, and this. My thing is that when he was playing, he wasn't, I mean, he was good, obviously, but it's not like he took the world by storm in the, whatever it was, 6 or 8 years that he played. I think it was 6 years. It wasn't something that was transformational, you know. So we're going to break this whole thing down, and I have also compared 3 players, Andrew Luck being one of them. We're going to do a blind resume test, and we're going to see which one of these players y'all think should be in the Hall of Fame. So get ready to tell me in the comments below. Colin, get the video going, son.
Andrew Luck. You know I love me some Andrew Luck. And I know what you're saying. I mean, Colin, come on. You only played for about 6 years. Brevity of career does not eliminate you.
Now, that's interesting because it shouldn't eliminate you, but it kind of does, right? Because if you're saying, well, the brevity doesn't matter, is RG3 a Hall of Famer? Can you just extrapolate out what players would have done in a long period of time, even if they played for a short period of time, if their career was cut short because of an injury or something else? You do have to kind of take into account how long they did play and what they actually did do while they played. Now, if a player played for 4 seasons, was a 4-time, back-to-back MVP, won 2 Super Bowls, at that point, it's like, well, he's probably a Hall of Fame. That stretch right there is probably a Hall of Fame career, right? The problem is that Andrew Luck didn't do that. Andrew Luck, 0 MVPs. Andrew Luck, 0 Rookie of the Years. Andrew Luck, 4-time Pro Bowler. That's about it. Playoff success? None. I think he went 4-4 in the playoffs. Never won more than 11 games. It's not like Andrew Luck was the best player in the NFL for his career. Lost the Rookie of the Year. This was not a guy who, in that short period of time, changed the game.
Dale Sayers, 4 great years, made it. Then he had knee injuries. Terrell Davis, 4 great years. Well, Super Bowls, yeah, well, Elway had a lot to do with those too.
Running back's also different because running back, your career is probably 4 to 6 years. Quarterback is not the case. Quarterback is not a short-term position. Running back certainly is. 6 years of a running back, 4 years of a running back, that's a pretty big body of work.
If you're going to let compilers into all these Hall of Fames, people who were very good and played for a long time, then I'm going to fight for great briefly.
Now, I do agree with that. I don't think that just because you play for a long time, you should get in the Hall of Fame. Like Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers played for a long time, ton of stats, on all kind of lists, the high parts of the list. But is he a Hall of Famer, or did he just have a really good career? I think with Hall of Fames in every sport, it should be for the best of the best. It shouldn't be just for like, yeah, this guy was in the NFL, or this guy had a pretty decent career, or this is a pretty likable fella. It should be the best of the best. Bottom line. It shouldn't be like a lifetime achievement award. It should be a very merit-driven situation. If you're a quarterback, you never had any playoff success, never won an MVP, never broke any records, should you be in the Hall of Fame? I don't know.
A lot of you love compilers, your favorite local player who led the league in doubles 4 times and hit by pitches and played 19 years and was never the best player on his team. Andrew Luck did something I don't think Brady or Patrick Mahomes, Favre, Bradshaw, Aikman could do. He took a horrible roster and went 11-5, 11-5, 11-5. In fact, 4 Pro Bowls in 5 years. They never had a losing season when he was healthy, which is remarkable because according to PFF, the Andrew Luck era had the 28th best defense, the 24th best rushing game, and a bottom 6 offensive line. And he got to the AFC Championship.
I don't think, like, that is a wild kind of take. Like, at that point, you're just saying, hey, who did something with a bad team? Like, how do you quantify that? There are tons of people, tons of quarterbacks who come in, take a really bad roster or a really bad team and drag them to some success. And not even drag them to, like, the best success. And if Colin is saying what he's saying about Andrew Luck, then the Michael Jordan LeBron debate would be completely gone for what LeBron did dragging those Cleveland rosters. Like, just because the rest of your team is subpar or parts of your team is subpar, like you have one of the worst defenses or one of the worst whatever, like that shouldn't be part of the conversation. I don't think
Mahomes could do that. And I think Mahomes is amazing.
He certainly would.
Here's my thing.
He certainly would.
Keep fighting for compilers. Every time I hear about the Hall of Fame, there's guys and I'm like, they didn't win a game. They weren't worth a point. And not just football. I mean, in baseball, you see it all the time. 26 years of this and not. Sandy Koufax had 6 great years. 3 phenomenal. Nobody has a problem calling him the best pitcher ever.
I do, first of all. I think people, I kind of covered this in the Babe Ruth video a couple weeks ago. People take older players and they put them on way too high of a pedestal, I think. You know, like we talked about with Babe Ruth. People were pitching 80 miles an hour back then. I would absolutely mash if I was a professional baseball player. I mean, 80 miles an hour is pretty close to just high school baseball. You know, so I'm kind of done with the old generation.
It's not the Hall of really good for a really long time.
Agreed.
It's the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Famous, fame, being great. That's who's famous. Fame, all-time stuff. Andrew Luck was impulsive when he retired. People said, I mean, he was banged up, but right before the season, and that didn't sit right. But isn't his owner arguably as impulsive as any owner in the league?
The impulsive retirement, I don't think factors in at all.
I've seen impulsive GMs that play the game, what we call it, ready, fire, aim, do things without thinking them through. I've seen coaches be impulsive. I've seen owners be impulsive. And at least he had an excuse. He got the hell beat out of him. I would have preferred he didn't retire right before a season. I don't think the Colts have ever really recovered. They've been scrambling since. But basically, if you look at those Colts teams, they're the opposite of today's San Francisco 49ers. They were awful everywhere except quarterback. 11-5, 11-5, 4 Pro Bowls, 11-5, 5 straight years when he was healthy of winning seasons. Yes, when he retired, ticked people off. Yes, it was.
So Colin's argument here, like, this is wild. So his whole argument is that Andrew Luck elevated the Colts to being above average when they had a bad roster. And that's it. That's enough to get you in the Hall of Fame? Is that enough? Like, for 6 seasons, he elevated them to slightly above average? That's it? That's the barrier to entry to the Hall of Fame?
It's very short. But you got to understand. You got to understand. Gale Sayers, Terrell Davis, Sandy Koufax. I mean, Gale Sayers was a running back. And I know it was more of a running back league.
It's interesting he hasn't mentioned a quarterback. You know, like he's comping Andrew Luck with Gale Sayers. But you could also say that every team who has taken a quarterback first overall more than likely had a terrible roster. I mean, how bad was Washington's roster with RG3? And RG3 drags into the playoffs. You know, how if you're taking a quarterback first overall and that team has success, you could say that quarterback was drafted into a bad situation and made a lot out of a little.
But if you're going to all let compilers in, and I do think in this soft time that, we want to be nicer and we want to, include more people and stuff, which I'm all for. If you're going to do that, because I see it happening all the time in Hall of Fames, well, why can't I fight for great?
But you're doing what you're fighting against, this whole like soft entry. I mean, the softest entry possible is the argument that this guy had some success with a weak roster, and that's good enough. Let's do the comparison, okay? So get your fingers ready to type in the comments below, because I'm going to ask some questions here. I'm going to give you 3 players. One is Andrew Luck, okay, obviously. All are quarterbacks. We're not comparing Sandy Koufax with Andrew Luck here. Okay, I'll give you a hint. A is Andrew Luck. Okay, let me go ahead and type that so we don't get confused here. Andrew Luck. Okay, he played 86 games, 23,000 yards passing, 171 passing touchdowns, 83 interceptions, 14 rushing touchdowns, 1,600 rushing yards, 4 Pro Bowls, 4-4 playoff record, no other awards to his name. Player B. And the question I want to ask you is A, B, and C Hall of Famers? Is one of them a Hall of Famer? Is none of them Hall of Famers? You tell me below. B, 97 games, so more than Andrew Luck. 2,500 passing yards, more than Andrew Luck. 166 passing touchdowns, a little bit less. 65 interceptions, less. 26 rushing touchdowns, more. 1,642 rushing yards, more. 2 Pro Bowls, 2-4 playoff record, relatively the same. Is B, with no awards or nothing to his name, is B a Hall of Famer? Because B is pretty damn close to Andrew Luck. B, you could argue, has had a better career than Andrew Luck. They're very similar career-wise. Now let's look at C. C, 144 games, way more than Andrew Luck and B. 32,000 passing yards, way more than both Andrew Luck and B. 194 passing touchdowns, more than both. 123 interceptions, more interceptions, no doubt. 75 rushing touchdowns, more than these two combined. Almost 6,000 rushing yards, again, more than these two combined. 3 Pro Bowls, one less than Andrew Luck. Rookie of the Year, something that neither one of those other two did. MVP, something that neither one of them did. 3-4 playoff records, so one less win than Andrew Luck. But a Super Bowl appearance. Now, in my opinion, C has the much better career. C is the, if we're ranking these, C is way higher than Andrew Luck. Okay. And B. C, this is the, like, I would say C, I would say this is a Hall of Fame career. I would say this is pretty strong. MVP, Rookie of the Year, Super Bowl appearance, a ton of stats, individual success, team success. For a quarterback, this is probably a Hall of Fame career, I would say. But I would also say this is a minimum Hall of Fame career. Is it first ballot? I don't know about that. But it's definitely, if he's in the Hall, I'm okay with it. B, I would say no. I would say this is not a Hall of Fame career. And A, I would say no, this is not a Hall of Fame career. And I don't care how much they're quote unquote elevating a bad roster. All right, now here's in the comments below, tell me who is a Hall of Fame out of these 3 careers, A, B, or C. And then I want you to guess who they are, because I'm going to reveal it, ladies and gentlemen. And it might shock you. So as you know, A is Andrew Luck. B is Dak Prescott. Has Dak Prescott done enough in his career right now? If he retired right now, is he a Hall of Famer? I have a sneaky feeling a lot of you are saying, whoa. Because that's basically what Andrew Luck did in his entire career. Dak has already done. Dak has, as far as individual numbers, way better. As far as like playoff success, all that, pretty close. Not too much, not too different. You could argue Andrew Luck has been injured, so has Dak. Okay. You could also argue Andrew Luck was a first overall pick, so he should be better. Dak was not. Dak has exceeded expectations, if anything. Okay. So I don't think Dak is a Hall of Famer, and I don't think that's crazy to say that right now, if Dak retired, he'd make the Hall. Now, C. Did y'all get this one? Did y'all know who this is? It's kind of easy if you think about it. The rushing stats in the Super Bowl and the MVP, I think should give it away. C is Cam Newton. Is Cam Newton a Hall of Famer? You look at this, I would say he's right on the cusp. I would say I would vote for Cam Newton in the Hall of Fame, but I wouldn't cry myself to sleep if he wasn't in the Hall of Fame. Look at this. When you look at this, is there any way Andrew Luck should be a Hall of Famer? He is the worst of the three, I think, on here. His career is lesser than Dak Prescott. By a lot. If you consider that Dak's going to end up playing a couple more years. Like Dak's going to add on to all these stats. Who knows? Dak may find some more playoff success. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, I'm smiling because I think this is telling. I think this blind comparison is pretty telling. And if we're taking Colin's argument, I guess we have to add elevated mediocre roster to minimal success. I guess we have to add that as well. So factor that in, ladies and gentlemen. But let me know in the comments below what you think. This topic, this was nowhere near on my radar until I saw it started popping up today. And very interesting conversation. So let me know. I am always in the comments replying to y'all, but I really, really am interested in what y'all think about this. Should Andrew Luck be a Hall of Famer? What do you think about the blind comparisons? Thank you for watching. No one does what we do on this channel, and I will see you on the next video.